So I would like to request Hugh Shepherd, the security expert, to put his forward regarding the cybersecurity.
Hi, I'm Hugh Shepherd. Thank you. And I apologize, I'm going to do my presentation in English. Yeah, it's probably much better than my Nepali. But anyhow, again, thank you for having me. Again, my name is Hugh Shepherd from the United States. Background, 20 years in the IT and telecom industry. Roughly the last 5 years been dedicated to cybersecurity. Been in Nepal now locally for a little over 3 years. I've worked with several gentlemen here on the stage in cybersecurity initiatives. So again, just to cut to the chase, I'm pretty sure it's already been mentioned, like these sort of attacks are not new, and they will occur again. It's just what the difference maker is how you prepare and how you respond to these type of attacks. Now, again, my background, previously I used to work, I was part of the U.S. military, and we had a concept called the After Action Review, or AAR. So basically, whenever there was an incident or some sort of engagement, we did a kind of pre-op or a post kind of evaluation of the things that went wrong, that went well, and how we can improve. So I kind of did a similar kind of AAR for this banking ATM incident that occurred here recently in Nepal. So, as we all know, what went wrong, the ATM server was compromised, it was hacked, it was vulnerable. To the best of my knowledge, it could have been due to lack of or insufficient patching, or maybe it was not a very well monitored server itself, which also makes it extremely vulnerable. Then, like whether or not the sufficient controls were in place, or their proper firewalls, were those firewalls maintained well, or the people who are maintaining those firewalls, are they trained properly to do their job? Is there proper isolation, like defense in depth? So in case there is this sort of compromise happens, there's checks and defenses in place. Malware was installed, but we have the ability to isolate this server once we figure out it's been compromised. So again, those were the things in my mind, based off what I know, that went wrong. Now the things that did go right, the incident response to this was quick and swift. I got to give credit to the Nepali police and the individual who I believe worked for the bank for one of the ATMs that noticed something was wrong. He had enough professional knowledge to know, and and there was an established baseline for that ATM that it should not have ran out of money that quick. So, and also he was dedicated enough and professional enough to when he saw that something was wrong, he just didn't sit there and he reported it up. So that goes back to the philosophy of if you see something that seems suspicious, say something. That goes down to having proper processes in place and incident response. So, I don't know if that was part of the normal procedure for this bank and for this individual, or was it just luck? So in that case, it was just luck, then that's not a good thing. We want to make sure that this is ingrained into the culture, into the processes of the organization. So those were the things I identified as going right. Now, things to improve on. Again, like I said earlier, these sort of attacks are going to happen again. It comes down to how you prepare and how you respond. So that comes down to the fundamental securities, fundamental security processes. That's like patching, vulnerability scanning. And when I say that, I just want to make sure everyone, we're all on the same page. Again, I come from the U.S. Department of Defense background, where vulnerability scanning was done on a continuous basis, especially on more highly classified servers. It was done weekly, at least weekly, and these reports are reviewed, and people, they're not just done like, okay, done. People review like, okay, we found these vulnerabilities, and there's a process to like, all right, we got to patch these. Just don't sit on it. So anyhow, that sort of thing. You got to make sure you're doing vulnerability scannings on a weekly basis, and that you're proactively putting security practices in place. And also, and not just security related matters, just IT service management in general. You know, that comes down to change management, configuration management, making sure people are properly trained. You know, it's just like the whole kind of IT service management culture needs to, I see a gap possibly in these areas that could help improve the situation with not just the banks here in Nepal, but with any organization that operates in, that has IT as part of their organization, for either be it internal IT infrastructure or something that's more client facing. Also, continuous monitoring. You know, again, I'm not sure if that server that was hacked was, sorry. Did everyone hear me? I'm almost done, so hopefully everyone was able to hear me. But, just continuous monitoring. You know, again, just don't patch and say, oh, we patched, or oh, we scanned the server and it's done. It has to be done on a continuous, proactive manner and fashion. It must be active security. And again, incident response. And not just having the incident response plan in place, but actually conducting incident response exercises. Because again, my prior military background, saying was you train as you fight. So if you haven't practiced, you haven't trained to respond to an incident, once it happens, it's all going to be new to you. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know how you're going to react to this situation. But if you're continuously training, you're practicing these sort of situations, when they actually occur, they should be like, it becomes second nature. You know what to do. You don't want to be in the middle of a cyber incident for the first time, I don't know what to do. You want it to become second nature within your organization. And then finally, just training for personnel, individuals, and just standardizing processes. So again, that was my assessment. I used my after-action review type approach to kind of assess it, and hopefully it was meaningful to you guys. Thank you for the opportunity.